Hello there and welcome to this week's Owl Diary. Hi there, welcome back to the channel, I hope you're well. So we currently find ourselves in the very depths of autumn, leaves falling all around us. We've just finished our very busy season at Farmer Copley's near Pontefract there, and the area where the birds were looks like this now, with a lovely rectangle of grass in the middle where our birds were, and you can see exactly where everyone was walking around. Really busy display, and what a fantastic way to end our flying show season, if you like, which ends really at the end of October. And the next job is to move the birds. This is the current aviary block in the woods here, and we are going to start work this week on actually moving the materials or the resources and of course the birds themselves over to their new location, which is here. To this place, which is my new garden. Yes, this is where my birds of prey are going to live. We're going to move with them here over the next few weeks. Lots of work to do. It will be a bit like a building site for quite a while, and of course I'll update you in the Owl Diaries on the progress of that. But essentially I'll be living here as well. My house is just over there in the distance. I won't be showing you everything, largely for security reasons. However, we've got plenty of space here, and there are many advantages to actually having the birds and my exotic animals living on site with me again. For the last 7 years they have lived on a separate location. There were 2 separate properties, one we had for about 3 years and the last one for 4 years, where they currently are now, and essentially that's a wonderful thing because it gives you some advantages. You're more out in the countryside, and the biggest advantage that we had at the last venue, where the birds are still the minute, is that wonderful land right there next to the aviaries to fly the birds free in, like the woodlands, which are fantastic for the owls and the hawks, and around the other side we had an open field we were allowed to fly the falcon on. That's the one disadvantage here. However, most of the flying we do with the birds is out on displays and school visits and so on, and when we do need to fly them on what we call days off, we actually have got areas not too far from here that we have permission and the ability to fly them on, so it won't be a big task in keeping their exercise up, just a little walk or a little drive down the lane there. But the advantages of actually having the birds right by where I live are quite amazing. Many advantages. For example, I can go out and check them whenever I need to, on a morning, on an evening, rather than having to take a drive out to the countryside in the dark. I have the ability for my volunteers who don't drive to be able to walk to this property and gain access and help with the cleaning and the feeding and the enrichment and so on. So many, many advantages to having them on site. So even though we're going to be very busy for the next few weeks, I'll still be able to do these Owl Diaries. And if you've been watching the Owl Diaries for the last 15, 16, 17 diaries or so, I have been doing a feature called The Falconry Term of the Week.
The falconry term of the week.
So the falconry term is a word or phrase used in language and falconry, and I've decided to make this week the last one. Essentially nothing new. I'm going to run down all the last ones. There are other words and phrases, some of which people use in modern language today all the time, but they use them for different reasons. They're not really falconry terms anymore, and that's maybe another video for future to go through them. They're quite interesting actually, quite fascinating. And there are lots of other words which are very historical and aren't really used today. And even though I might have missed 1 or 2 things out, they'll pop up in future videos anyway. So I'm now going to give you a rundown in order that they were presented of all the falconry terms. First we had bait or baiting, when a bird of prey tries to fly from the glove or from the perch that it is tethered to. We had the word cast, which has many different meanings. 4 in fact. 1, to cast a bird off from the glove. Secondly, to wrap a bird in a towel, for example, or a casting jacket, to inspect it, a health check it, or clip the beak. So that's casting the bird in that respect. And there's to fly a bird in a cast, which is a group of birds flying together, like Harris hawks hunting together, for example. And there's cast up a pellet, which birds of prey do when they regurgitate that pellet, generally once a day. Mews is a term for any aviary or enclosure a bird would live in, and the furniture the bird wears includes things like the anklets, the jesses, maybe a bell or telemetry transmitter, and things like that. To pitch, well, that's when a bird of prey, typically a falcon, lands somewhere in the middle of its flight, which it shouldn't do. Winnowing is preparing for flight, having a little stretch of those wings. Mantle is using the wings to hide the food underneath them to stop other birds of prey from stealing it. And that's where we get the term mantelpiece from, because it goes around the fireplace. We have coping, which is to trim the beak down and file it down when it needs doing. And slicing, which is the way that hawks projectile poo out at the back there, which can make the back of an aviary very, very messy very, very quickly. Stoop is when a falcon does a vertical drop straight down at high speed. The hood, or hooding, is using a hood to put on the bird's head to keep it nice and calm, out of sight, out of mind with birds of prey. Manning is when you get a new bird and you've got to man it up, get it used to people, have it on the glove for a long time and expose it to lots of different things so it becomes nice and calm around people and maybe dogs and noise and other distractions. Imprint is where you have a bird of prey that is connected to a falconer, or a social imprint is something that's connected to lots of different people, essentially a bird that pretty much thinks it's a person, a bit like Ollie, my eagle owl, who thinks I'm his mate, but that's another story for another day. We have the word nocturnal for an owl, for example, that would fly around and hunt at night. We have the word diurnal, for example, a snowy owl, or a burrowing owl, or any of the raptors like the kestrels and hawks and falcons and eagles, which are all awake naturally during the day. And then we have crepuscular. That's an animal that would be awake mostly dusk and dawn. We had the word soar, when a bird of prey glides momentarily, or sometimes for a long period of time, a way of flying without using any energy. It's just gliding around in the air. We have pellet, which is the thing that the bird casts up, and we have the word cadge, finally, which is essentially a carrying bird device. It looks a bit like this. So there you have it, that's all the falconry terms recapped, and I'll have to think of a new feature for future videos. Anyway, enjoy the rest of this week's Owl Diary. Well, it's another day and another event, and I'm now at a wedding. Yes, we're doing a bit of handling this evening at this lovely venue here in South Yorkshire. We have Emily, who has Henrietta on the hand walking round, and we have Robin, who has Gizmo on the hand walking around. So two very different sized owls for the guests to see and hold if they wish. This is something we do as part of the services we offer weddings. We do have the ring bearing, and if you've seen our videos before, you've seen the actual wedding ring bearing where we have the barn owl fly down the aisle delivering the rings as a special surprise to the guests. And we often do flying shows, in fact, as well at weddings. We've got one booked in a couple of weeks, for example. This was just a bit of handling. It adds a bit of extra magic and sparkle to the event, and they are really nice to do. Weddings are always nice events. We usually wear a suit or something smart, but we've just come back from display, so we're just in our normal uniform, as it were, but it's okay. I think we'll get away with it. Everyone's looking fabulous, all very glamorous, lovely venue, small but really quaint, really pretty, and a lovely atmosphere as well. So we've got two very different owls for you to meet. We've got the small one here, and this is Gizmo. Now he's a 2.5-year-old Indian Scots owl. He weighs about 4 ounces. He's not the smallest owl in the world, but he's one of the smallest. In owl years, or in small owl years, he's about 36, so very much an adult. This is Henrietta. She's a European eagle owl. She's 19 years old. They're both very tame-friendly birds, and we have extra gloves and stuff, so you can do some handling. So what we'll do, you can obviously continue chatting and stuff, but we'll just kind of go around the room slowly. If you want to hold it, you can. Take some pictures, that kind of thing. Ask any questions, okay? There's a little kind of additional thing for you to do this evening. All right, thank you. I'm in the museum gardens in York on a lovely sunny morning right here at the end of October, and it is coming to the end of the season. This is our last week here in the gardens. We tend to stay away in the dark depths of winter, come back usually around the February half term, certainly by March on selected dates, gearing up for the flying shows that begin usually around the beginning of April. And I'm here with Pebble, enjoying the sunshine. A bit of vitamin D for you, Pebble. Well, he is a desert bird, so he quite likes the sunshine. Of course, it's not that warm today, but you'll notice in the background here of these ghosts they've got. There's a ghosts display going on, these wonderful mesh creations around the gardens, so it's rather enchanting, especially on an evening as it's getting dark. and the special lights come on and they sort of glow up a little bit, so it's been quite nice to see them. But yes, it's been a fantastic year. The museum garden display we do here is the main thing we do all throughout the whole year. It's a long season. We start sort of late winter and we get it right down to really the start of November, and it's a fantastic place to come on a regular basis. Many of the videos we film for this Owl Diary and other videos on this YouTube channel are actually filmed at this very location, and we've become quite well known here. Some people even call it the Owl Gardens. We've got lots of regulars who come on a regular basis and chat to us. There's a bit of a community here, so we do miss it in the winter, and we look forward to returning here next year. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's Owl Diary. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.